Throughout history, archaeologists have uncovered mysterious artifacts and remains that challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations. From unusual figurines to preserved mummies and sacred relics, each discovery opens a window into forgotten worlds. In November 2013, a rare Roman chamber tomb was uncovered near the ancient city of Corinth in Greece during routine roadworks aimed at extending the national road between Corinth and Patrick. What makes this tomb extraordinary is not only its unusual architectural shape, but also the exceptional state of preservation it has maintained over nearly 2 millennia. The tomb's vaults are elaborately decorated, and its walls are adorned with beautiful paintings that reveal the great care and craftsmanship invested in its construction. Greek archaeologists who studied the tomb have dated it to the 1st century CE. They believe it likely belonged to either a Roman citizen or a Romanized Greek who maintained close ties to Rome. Although the burial is not opulent enough to suggest that the individual was part of the nobility or elite of Corinthian society at the time, it indicates that this person was granted more respect in death than an average citizen might have received. Unfortunately, despite the tomb's excellent preservation, experts have concluded that identifying the individual buried within it is probably beyond reach. Moving eastward to Central Asia, near the city of Samarkand in Uzbekistan, lies the archaeological site known as Kafir Kala, a name which translates as the Fortress of the Infidels. Though there is another site of the same name in Tajikistan, the one near Samarkand is considered more significant. Today, the fortress exists largely as a ruin, but its central mud brick citadel, 6 defensive towers, and surrounding moat can still be discerned. Although the living quarters outside the citadel have largely vanished from plain sight, archaeologists have successfully identified their foundations using ground-penetrating radar. The local population has long been aware of Kafir Kala, but it was not until 1972 that a formal archaeological excavation began. The findings suggest that the site was first settled by the Karits during the 4th century CE. Among their remnants were coins and administrative records known as bool. The coinage, in particular, has provided valuable insights, helping scholars track the political transition in the region from Sogdian to Islamic rule. In December 2017, a remarkable discovery was made in Ukraine at Chungul-Kiran, a collection of extremely rare textiles dating back to the 12th and 13th centuries. These textiles are especially significant because they represent seldom seen examples of secular dress styles from the fringes of the Byzantine sphere of influence, created just before the Mongol invasions swept across the western steppes. Although they appear worn and fragile, the textiles are actually made from fine silk and are decorated with pearls and intricate gold embroidery, highlighting the skill and wealth of their original owners. Unfortunately, they have not been well cared for over the centuries, and as a result, are now in a very fragile condition that will likely require years of preservation efforts before they can be displayed publicly, if at all. The burial mound where these textiles were found was originally discovered by Soviet archaeologists in 1981 and remains only partially excavated today. Across the globe, in ancient Peru, the tomb of the Lord of Sipan, a Mohican warrior priest who lived around 1700 years ago, was unearthed in 1987 and is considered one of the most spectacular and best preserved tombs ever found in South America. The tomb itself was guarded by a soldier wearing a copper helmet and holding a shield, whose feet had been amputated, presumably a measure taken to prevent the guardian from abandoning his post. Inside the tomb lay a treasure trove of priceless artifacts, including an ornate face mask, golden body ornaments, a golden scepter, and a necklace composed of gold and silver beads. Despite his wealth and status, the Lord of Sipan appears to have died young, with experts estimating his age at death to be around 35 years. In late 2013, fragments of fabric were discovered in the Wadi Maraba caves of Israel. While at first glance these scraps seemed unremarkable, closer analysis revealed something extraordinary about the dyes used to color them. These fabrics, approximately 2,000 years old, bear stains of purple, crimson, and indigo, colors traditionally associated with royalty and luxury during the Roman era. Even more intriguing is the presence of a rare shade of blue that may have been produced using sea snail ink, a pigment historically known as biblical blue. Archaeologists speculate that these fabrics might have belonged to Jews hiding in the caves during the Bar Kokhba revolt. However, this theory presents a paradox. In Roman times, such vibrant colors were reserved exclusively for the emperor and his family, and common people were forbidden from wearing them. Unfortunately, there are no archaeological parallels or other findings to help verify the exact nature of the dye, leaving experts with an unresolved mystery. In April 2022, archaeologists working near Copperhole village on the Pune-Satara highway in India uncovered an extraordinary collection of game boards etched directly into solid rock. Unlike the portable game boards we are accustomed to today, these 35 carved boards represent a regional variant of the ancient game Mancala, one of the oldest known board games in human history, with roots tracing back thousands of years. The carvings are intricate and well preserved, showcasing a style that appears unique to this part of India and possibly related to the game known in Kenya as Ajua or in rural India as Alagulain. Scholars believe these boards may have been created by traders and travelers who waited patiently for caravans to arrive, passing time through gameplay. Remarkably, many of the carvings are accompanied by mysterious symbols and figures whose precise meanings remain a puzzle to researchers even today. In 1940, a husband and wife archaeological team named Sydney and Georgia Wheeler embarked on an excavation in Spirit Cave near Fallon, Nevada. There, they uncovered what was initially thought to be a remarkably well-preserved mummy of a male who had died at about 40 years of age. At the time, the remains were estimated to be around 2,000 years old, and the discovery was heralded as a major find, the oldest human mummy in North America. However, the Wheelers passed away without the benefit of modern testing techniques that could more accurately date the remains. It was not until 1996 that mass spectrometry testing was carried out on the mummy, revealing a startling truth. The Spirit Cave mummy dates back roughly 10,000 years, placing his death around 7420 BCE, deep into the prehistoric era. The 16th century French astrologer and seer Nostradamus is world-renowned for his cryptic prophecies, which have fascinated believers and skeptics alike for centuries. One of his most important works, a 500-page manuscript titled Nostradamus M. Prophecies, became the center of a dramatic cultural mystery in the early 21st century. In 2007, this priceless manuscript was stolen from the Historical Studies Center of the Barnabite Fathers in Rome. Over the following years, the manuscript resurfaced in flea markets in Paris and was traced to a second-hand dealer in Germany. Despite the theft, it was only in 2022 that the Cultural Heritage Protection Squad of Italy managed to recover the document after an art dealer attempted to sell it through an auction house in Pforzheim. The recovery was celebrated not only for the manuscript's return, but also because expert examination in Germany had conclusively verified the text's authenticity. Turning to Ethiopia, a remarkable pair of Ethiopic gospel books, known collectively as the Gama Gospels, hold the distinction of being among the oldest surviving illustrated Christian manuscripts in the world. These two manuscripts, preserved in the Abagarima monastery, have long been a subject of scholarly debate. Radiocarbon dating has now established that Gama I was likely written and bound between 530 and 1660 AD, while Gama II may date even earlier, possibly between 390 and 570 AD. This dating challenges earlier Western scholarly opinions, which had dismissed the Gospels as 12th century copies with little historical value. The survival of these manuscripts is especially remarkable given the turbulent history of the region. Between the 9th and 14th centuries, the monastery where they are housed was occupied by Muslim forces, yet the Gospels endured, likely hidden away from harm. In the Pudukkottai district of Tamil Nadu, India, lies the largely overlooked archaeological treasure of Satanavasal Cave, also known locally as Aravar Koil, or House of Great Saints. Evidence suggests that the cave has been inhabited or visited by humans for thousands of years, but the earliest confirmed semi-permanent occupants were followers of Tamil Saman religious traditions, dating back to at least the 2nd century CE. The cave is renowned for its exquisite 7th century frescoes, which stand as some of the most impressive examples of early South Indian rock art, painted with a sophisticated mixture of mineral and vegetable dyes. The murals exhibit vivid shades of blue, orange, white, green, and yellow, layered carefully over a thin plaster base. The exceptional preservation of the colors has been largely due to the stable environmental conditions inside the cave, shielding the paintings from sunlight and moisture. In August 2020, archaeologists working at a Bronze Age settlement in the Masovian region of Poland made an unusual and captivating discovery: a collection of tiny pig figurines estimated to be around 3,500 years old. These figurines are remarkable, not only for their age, but for the exquisite detail with which they were crafted. Each figure, measuring barely an inch in length, captures the anatomical features of pigs with surprising precision, right down to the depiction of nipples and other subtle physical characteristics. Interestingly, variations in the design suggest that these figurines may have been the work of multiple artisans, each bringing their own stylistic touches to the collection. Surrounding the settlement where the figurines were found is an ancient stone wall, a rare and unexpected feature for a community of that era in this part of Poland. This suggests a level of social organization and investment in defense that challenges previous assumptions about Bronze Age societies in the region. Deep within the salt mines of the Zanjan district in northwestern Iran, a series of extraordinary human remains have been uncovered, locally known as the salt mummies, or salt men. These bodies are exceptional for their remarkable state of preservation, owed largely to the salt-rich environment which has naturally mummified the remains. Some of these mummies date back as far as 11,000 years, making them among the oldest well-preserved human remains ever found. The salt mummies are predominantly male, and many still retain their skin, hair, and even internal organs, providing an invaluable glimpse into the physical characteristics of ancient peoples from this region. Intriguingly, the reasons why these men ended up deep inside the salt mines remain a mystery. Among the revered religious relics housed in the Archdiocesan Museum of Poznan, Poland, is a sword that is steeped in legend and veneration, the so-called Sword of Peter. According to tradition, this sword is believed to be the very weapon wielded by St. Peter, one of Jesus Christ's apostles, who famously cut off the ear of a servant of the high priest during Jesus' arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane. While this claim sounds extraordinary and historically improbable, the sword itself is a wide-tipped weapon, somewhat resembling a modern machete in shape. The earliest verifiable historical mention of the sword dates to 609 AD, recorded by the Polish historian Jan Długosz. Długosz relayed the story of the sword's biblical origin, but also noted the possibility that it was a replica commissioned for Pope Stephen III. According to the historian, the sword was first officially documented when it arrived in Poznan in the year 968 as a gift from the Pope to Bishop Jordan. No written records prior to this date exist to confirm its biblical association, leaving the legend unverified by contemporary evidence. In 2008, a remarkable archaeological discovery was made in Huacapucana, Peru, the mummy of a female warrior belonging to a pre-Hispanic culture that predates the Incas. Unlike many burial sites, this one was unusually well preserved and rich in artifacts, revealing much about the social and ritual practices of the region. The woman was interred with a striking wide-eyed death mask, an object likely designed to signify status, power, or spiritual significance. Accompanying her burial were two other adults and a child, possibly members of her family or community. The presence of the child, however, raises a darker possibility. Some archaeologists suggest the child may have been a victim of human sacrifice, a practice sometimes used to honor or accompany the dead into the afterlife.